Hi, it's Alexis. I spoke with a lot of people this week who were in a long distance relationship and who were dating avoidant. So I thought, okay, let's make a video covering this aspect of how to get back with an ex who's an avoidant when we are long distance. I'll explain everything after the jingle, as usual.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
Here is the truth, the painful truth. Yes, it's harder to get back with an ex who is long distance. And yes, it's harder to get back with an avoidant. Because the process of getting back with an ex implies communication, which you could do with long distance, and attraction, which is way harder if you can't see the person. Well, when I help people getting back with their ex, of course I help them with the communication aspect, with the idea that they will meet, that they will see each other, that they will go on a date together or do something together. That's how you reconnect with someone. Okay? You will never get back with your ex over FaceTime. If you are not happy with this, you can stop the video now and do something else, but that's a fact. Okay? Now, the reason of the breakup was it really about distance or other aspects in the relationship? Because if you remove the distance, what will happen? And that's what we're gonna discuss in this video, and we're gonna obviously cover the aspect of your ex being a dismissive avoidant. Is there a chance you're reading this and you feel like, okay, it's gonna be very hard for me? Yes, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video, otherwise I wouldn't have currently clients that I try to help getting back with the ex while they are long distance. However, you need to be realistic about the strength of your couple. Even when you're married and are together, being long distance requires the relationship. It's a real test for a relationship, and I have few cases in my amongst my friends who started a relationship long distance and it worked out, but it's a massive challenge. Okay, but there's so many things that could go wrong because of the communication. Obviously, what makes a relationship function is the communication. But when you are missing the non-verbal communication, the physical touch is also a form of communication. It's harder, okay? You also need to be realistic about whether your ex has feelings for you and whether you can change the narrative. These are two fundamental elements, because sometimes people will use the distance to disconnect, to move on, because they just simply don't have feelings for you, and that happens, and there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. And also about changing the narrative, because the long distance thing created some form of pressure, created something that made the relationship more difficult than it could be. If you're not sure about what I'm saying, and if you want to know whether you have a chance to get back with your ex, I put together a quiz, and the link is in the description, and you can basically, it will provide you a score to basically show the strengths of your relationship and whether this relationship is what I call recoverable. What happens during a long distance relationship? It's something called the emotional roller coaster effect. Each time you see each other, you enjoy the time like there's no tomorrow. So perhaps that's the case. You would see each other every month, every 3 months, but each time you would see each other, that would be so intense. I don't know, maybe having sex 20 times a day, doing amazing things. And you both love that, okay? And you remember, you're very fond of those memories of, having this intense connection with that person. And even if your ex is avoidant, he or she loved it. Love that element of being with you. Okay, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. You know that your ex loved that time with you. Then, after those intense days or weeks of being together, you're back to long distance, where it's only about communication. It's only about being in touch, checking in. Let's call each other every day. I want to know what you've been doing at work, what you're up to this weekend. And avoidance, they hate that. Most of them. And that probably created that thing where they felt we have there's the distance, and I don't need to report to you because, yes, we're together, but I don't necessarily want to know what you're up to, and I even, the worst thing is more about like telling you what I'm up to, because I feel like because we're not in the same city and I'm avoidant, and I don't feel like sharing these kind of things, it prevents me from feeling free. Okay, it's also always the perception of things. The emotional roller coaster when you're anxious, and this is why it's very important for you to understand this. You are left guessing. When you have this mixed signal, the positive messages become mixed messages, right? You equate anxiety with the short burst of joy with love. It's an extract from the book Attached. And I think for me, long distance relationship is you equate all those amazing moments with love, and whenever you're not in touch with them, create that anxiety, which forces you to be more clingy, more needy, and want to connect more. And that activates your attachment system with love. Okay? So remember, don't measure the strength of your relationship with short-lived, passionate experiences, but with how well you can grow and nurture as a couple. This one's from me. I should have, if you know a better way to catch this, the meaning here. Because the thing is, there's an element in today's society, perhaps because of Hollywood and Disney, then love should be about grand gesture, should be about bold moves and excitement, and this is passion, okay, and it's short-lived. We always transition from a passionate relationship to a compassionate relationship. And if you look at what makes successful couples, is how they can maintain things. So it's more about consistency than passion. And it is very hard to achieve when you're long distance. So my challenge, if you want to get back with an avoidant partner when you're long distance, is to really assess whether those moments were just part of the roller coaster, and the urge you have to get back with your ex, it's just because you feel that this was love, or whether you know that deep inside there's potential for this relationship to grow and to nurture. And yes, it's boring. We fail to appreciate that maybe 80% of the relationship is day-to-day stuff. But it's about how you make those day-to-day stuff enjoyable, how you can grow as a relationship, how you can grow and face challenges when you have, young kids, if I take my personal example, which is very, very challenging, when you have toddlers running around every day, finding the ways to connect. And it's not about going on trip and on a holiday, on a romantic day trip. Yes, it's important, but that's only about 10 to 20%. So really maybe pause here and reflect on this. Whether it's not being delusional about what happened, but if you're anxious, there's always this element of the roller coaster thing when you're dealing with an avoidant. Here is the real question. Is there a way you can end up in the same city? If that's not possible, if because of your work, because of your family, you will never end up being in the same city, give up. There's no way you're going to get back together. Sorry to tell you this, but there's no way you're going to get back together. If you can do it, you can plan. But, however, don't go there to win them back, and I'll explain you what you should be doing. Avoidants hate this. They hate the feel that you depend on them. So for you going to their city to win them back is overwhelming, and it's going to be worse than staying where you are. Knowing that you spend all your time together, that's going to be very hard for them to deal with. At the beginning, then you can grow together and help him or her to feel more secure and potentially commit and live together. Being forced to call each other regularly is something also they hate, and feel that they can't do what they want. Okay, so if you move to the same city, you have to plan it, and you do it for you. I'll explain later in the video. avoidants love this. Spending time with you, as we discussed, it's not because they're avoidant that they don't like spending time with you. They love those moments, those days together. So they love doing things, perhaps less talking than you, but doing things. What they also like, and sometimes people don't understand, is having the opportunity to take the lead, because when they take the lead, they feel in control, which allows them to feel free of their decision and things, working on their own terms. So of course it's more complex than that, and there's a risk if you always do things depending on the terms of your partner. It's not going to be healthy, but try to find the right balance. The other thing that is extremely important in when things are easy, very often avoidant, perhaps your ex told you this, is too complicated, it has a lot of drama, too much hassle in my head, let's break up. So it's about how you make things easy in the relationship, less dramatic. That's very important. Now, no contact, because probably you are in no contact or you're in touch with them. It's not the same when you're long distance. Because of the distance, by definition, the no contact is less needed in a way. You shouldn't stay in no contact for too long in that case. And if you plan to be in the same city, I think it's okay to let them know. The problem is how you do it, right? And I'm going to tell you how to do it. The key here is to show your detachment. Okay? Refer to the previous slide. Your plan is to be in the same city, and if you're in the same city, remember you're going to remove all the problems, all the tension from the relationship. But if you convey the idea that you're going where they live, because to win them back, as they're not necessarily sure, as they want to test things first, you have to convey the idea and to present things in a different way. Bad text versus good text. And I took extreme cases. Bad text would be, I will move to London next month. I spoke with my manager and I can work from there permanently. Or I could add, we can live together finally. If you send this, your ex will tell you, no, sorry, I don't feel comfortable with that, I'm not sure. Oh, I've seen cases where people would say, even make up that they're dating someone. A good text is, I will be in London for work event. If you're around, let me know. And we can meet for a coffee. Cases number 1, my life is around you. And my happiness depends on you. And if you say that to an avoidant, he'll freak out and he'll run away, or she will run away. If, however, you say, I have my own life, I do things on my own terms, and if you want to meet, why not? Because when we see each other, we have a good time. You're diffusing the sort of expectation and the importance of the relationship in the head. And that's how, it's kind of a Trojan horse. That's how you get an avoidant to feel a bit more secure. Because of course, the idea is for you to see them more regularly and to build from that. But don't go all in from the first get-go. So remember, if you move to their city, you do it for you. You don't do it for them, you do it for you. So make sure that there's a good reason for you to move into this city, because there's also an element of it might not work. So if you change your life and quit your job and you're unemployed, you move to a new city, etc., and it doesn't work, you're left with nothing. So, it makes sense, but I prefer to mention this. The best way for you to be happy is that it's your choice. And perhaps you met him or her and you wanted to live in that city, or perhaps that's your hometown and now you're in a new city and maybe you're fed up and you realize that you want to get back in your hometown. So it's really about what do you want to achieve in life, and it doesn't, he or she comes after. You do your life in that city, and if they join, that's great. It's not the other way around. Of course, if you can, try to go on short trips to see them, to test whether that's something you would like to do. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay? Now, if you have any question, if you want to hear some success stories, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to guide you. I know it's very confusing. I know it's way harder to get back with the next when you're long distance. Be realistic with what you want to achieve, what you don't want to do. And if you want to have some help or get in touch with me, don't hesitate to book a call. There's a link in the description. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.